Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to continue with our Saxon spelling rules. And today's rule is very similar to yesterday's spelling rule. So yesterday's spelling rule was the K and C spelling rule. So when you hear that K sound, would it be spelled with a C or would it be spelled with a K? Today's rule is almost identical to yesterday's rule, except it's with the G and the J. Now you'll notice these two go together because remember that G can make that J sound. So this is when the G makes the J sound just like the J. So you will notice I put the J dot right above it to show that it's making that soft G sound, that J sound. Now, of course, since these are making the same sound is why we need a rule, because if you hear that same sound, how are you going to know if you spell it with a G or with a J? So I said today's rule was almost identical to yesterday's rule because yesterday's rule is K takes IYE, C takes the other three. Today's rule is almost the same. G takes IYE, J takes the other three, AOU. So if you hear that J sound before an I, a Y, or an E, it's going to be spelled with the G making the J sound. If you hear that J sound before an A, O, or U, it's going to be spelled with the J sound making the J sound. So I have three examples: gym, gem, and giant. Gym, like when you go to gym with coach, has a Y after the J, so it's a G. Gem, like a gemstone, something that comes from the earth, is an E after the J sound, so it's spelled with the G. And giant has that I sound after the J, so it's spelled with a G. And then jam has an A after the J sound, so it's spelled with a J. Joke has an O after the J sound, so it's spelled with a J. And jug has a U after the J sound, so it's also spelled with a J. So like I said, almost the exact same as yesterday, just with the G and J making the J sound instead of C and K making the K sound. So for today's activity, you'll notice there are not any pages in your activity pack, just like last week. One of them you had to listen to the video to see what you needed to do. So what I want you to do again today is go on a word hunt. And this one's a challenge because you can't just find G words. You have to make sure that that G is doing what? That's right, making the J sound. So if the word is saying G, that hard G sound, it doesn't count because it doesn't follow this rule. It's not making that J sound like the J. So I want you to go on a word hunt in magazines or newspapers or books you're reading, and I want you to find at least 5 G words and 5 J words that follow this rule. And if you want to write them down on a piece of computer paper or notebook paper, you can. You can make a chart with G on one side and J on the other. Or if you want to cut your words out, if you're doing a magazine, you can do that and you can make a collage with them. Some friends did that last week. So either way is fine, but I want you to go on a word hunt and find 5 G words and 5 J words that follow this rule.